All good to be back. I hope you enjoyed that brief 10-minute speech down in Irvine, California. And now, on this night off, I want to bring to you the interview that I did with David Nino Rodriguez. He had me on a show on what's today? Wednesday, Monday. I did a show Monday, and we've done a couple shows together, a handful of shows, and always good to talk to him. And a real fighter in the truth community, and happy to know him, happy to call him friend. And he, the thing I love about Dave is that he, to me, he's like the audience, and he's asking questions, and he's trying to figure it out from a lot of different sources. And so, at any rate, I think we get into it a little bit on what's going on in the world, and I give him a little bit of taste about how we do things on the Truthcast, and I think he really enjoyed it, and we're going to continue to do this. I just made this live on Facebook. Please like, share this out, folks. This is a 1-hour interview. I think you're going to love it. Very informative. And I didn't even get into the deeply because going through Q takes a long time. So let me get out of the way of this. Let me put this in front of you here. Enjoy. And I just, coming on here live, I just ask one thing. If you would, just keep the chat to a minimum in the sense of just out of respect for the conversation that we're having here as much as possible. And it's action packed and some really good information that I think you'll like, and I think is very important. You know, one of the things that I think that Dave gets that I get is that we also understand that people are getting discouraged in this war, getting discouraged in this battle. And if there's anything that he understands as a professional boxer and a champion boxer, and me as a professional basketball player and a champion basketball player, is that it's not just technique, it's not just form, it's not just scouting the other team, gathering information on how we can be a better team, better player, better boxer, but it's also keeping our spirits up and staying positive when all seems lost. And if there's anybody that understands loss, it's an athlete, because you're constantly putting yourself in a situation where you may lose, and you may lose everything, and certainly the better you get, the more you work at it, the more you win and the less you lose, and that's the whole ball game. But along the way, there's a lot of words of encouragement to each other, to teammates, from a coach or a trainer to the player, to the athlete, and I think that he and I both get that with our audience, and how important that is, especially when things are as screwed up as they are in this world that we live in right now. So let me get out of the way. Let me play this for you. It's an hour running time, and I ask you to share this out for you, to groups and to people you think could enjoy it. And it's very rare that I have things that are shareable, because most of our shows are 4 to 6 hours long, and so it's a tough thing to digest. But I think you'll enjoy this. Okay, here we go. Enjoy.
What up, folks? I'm here on Nino's Corner.tv. Obviously, this is going to be too hot for YouTube because I got David Snedeker on with me, who's now on his 5th channel on YouTube. You can reach David at it's David Snedeker with the Snedheads on his 5th channel of YouTube, David Snedeker, and then theindoctrination.com. And that's also on Telegram, right? The Indoctrination?
Yes. Yeah. And
so,
Twitch and D Live.
So I love talking to you, man. I love bringing you on the show because you're an avid follower of Q. You research. You follow the comms, and I've always been 1 foot in, 1 foot out with that stuff.
Right.
And we have our agreements, we have our disagreements on who's legit and who's not, and we talk about that behind when we're not recording. We have our little private sessions, discussions,
Exactly.
but no, it's good. And that's why I like to bring you on, because you bring a different type of information to the table to help my audience better formulate a better opinion. There's a lot to talk about today, man. How do you want to kick this off?
Well, great to be with you again, man. We don't do this often enough, and but it's good that we connect, and we kind of have I think a finger on a lot of different pulses. And I would have to say that we have, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my co-host Todd Gedominski, have our finger on the pulse of Q. We believe better than most, simply because of well, I've been following Q since day 2 of his posts. A friend of mine is an autist, and he picked it up right away. He was on the boards, sent it to
Obviously,
me, and
Q is more than one person, right? It's a military intelligence.
yes, yeah. It's several. A lot of people, and Q has told us that no more than 10 know everything. 7 civilian, 3 military. I'm sorry, 7 military, 3 civilian.
Okay.
And so, there's speculation as to who's a part of it. Trump is certainly a part of it.
I've seen Trump do this a lot.
Yeah.
He does that a lot. He makes the sign of the Q a lot in his speeches.
Yeah. He's definitely a part of it. And we know almost all 5,000 Q drops very personally, and from a standpoint intimately, in terms of we dive through the timestamps and so forth. And one of the things that we go through several different methods. First of all, the first part of our show will cover a lot of the stuff that's going on, so that we kind of get a picture of the news. And the reason we do that is because Q has told us the news unlocks the map, right? So there are a couple things that unlock the map, and the map is the 5,000 Q posts, just under 5,000. And so when we go to for example, we see a timestamp of a Scavino post or a Pompeo post. I'm sorry, a tweet. We'll take that timestamp into the Q drops, and right away we're going to know if that's leading us in the right direction, right? We'll take the timestamp from the Eastern Standard Time. Sometimes we'll do military timestamp, and then we'll correspond that number to the number in the Q drops. The other way we go into the Q drops is with the news unlocks the map. Okay. So last week, I don't know if your audience knows this, but it was Garland, Merrick Garland, head of the DOJ. We found out that his son-in-law, that married to his daughter, is a owner of a company that provides all the critical race theory materials to the schools.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so huge, right? And this is right on the heels of the DOJ and the FBI saying that they're going to, go after these parents, showing up at the school boards.
I read about that. Yeah, the parents that are livid and pissed off, and rightfully should be, about critical race theory. They're going after them.
It's madness, right? It's absolute madness.
So you're saying Garland is the one supplying the critical race theory materials or data to the schools?
His son-in-law.
Wow.
And his son-in-law, and that company made $12 million, I believe, just in the past year on those materials. Okay. And what I'm about to show you is going to dive even deeper into that. But then, because Q has told us the news unlocks the map, right? So last week, as CRT's brimming with the school boards, as Garland talking, and the FBI talking about going after the parents showing up to these meetings. And by the way, my audience, the Snedheads, they're going to these meetings, man. They're showing up. They're sending me pictures. They're sending me video. And I think that's the best thing that we could do for this movement, is engage our audience in this process, right? Showing up at the school board meetings, showing up at the city council meetings, running for city council, running for office, doing their own show, right? just like this, where they're talking about this stuff. And so, so they send me pictures all the time. It's fantastic. And to see, right, these people engaging locally. And that's really what we have to do.
Yeah,
Because
the Iowa Mama Bears are one of them. I've had them on my show.
Yeah.
They're good. They're real proactive.
They're awesome. And you introduced me to them, and I haven't had them on yet, but I'd love
Got
to
get
do
them on,
that.
man. They're great to have on.
Yeah. And so, so a lot of movements like that are happening, because Q has also said, and I'll bring this up, and then I'll go back to the Garland, but the Q has told us that we need to be at the precipice, and so that's an example of when I see something happening. Let me see if I can share this with you and your audience here. Q will say, let me do this. Hold on, my camera's blocking that. There we go. Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay. And there we go. So with this in mind, with the precipice, right? That's kind of where we're at. People are at their wits' end. They're like, when is this going to happen? When is there going to finally be justice on this planet for the things that are transpiring?
And so we're at the precipice.
I believe we're at the precipice, and I'll show you why. And that is because, you know how frustrated people are. You know how frustrated you and I are.
I'm frustrated.
Absolutely. Right. And one of the reasons I've gotten nuked off Facebook, we lost 8 accounts on Facebook. We've lost 4 accounts, 9 slaps on the wrist on YouTube. I even got kicked off Twitch for 3 weeks. The reason why, and everything else is being shadow banned. I mean, but at any rate,
I'm right there with you.
yeah. Because if you're dropping the stuff. So let me take you to 4685, right? And this is
right now I just see a blue screen. That's all I see.
Okay, my bad. Let me bring that over to here then. Okay. All right. So the MSDNC con, the country is divided, in Dementia Joe currently taking early stage dementia medication. This is September 12th, 2020. Okay.
On Fox or on what?
This was a Fox graphic on the Pennsylvania change in registered voters.
Okay.
But the key here is that how do you amplify a desired theme narrative, the MSDNC? Now, the reason why the mainstream media crushes Q and has tried to discredit Q so often is because of how much Q has discredited the mainstream media.
Of course. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Right. So, and they've totally done that in droves. So they see they control what you see. That's why I call my show The Indoctrination, because I figured if we can awaken people to the indoctrination, the brainwashing that they're receiving on a daily basis, a drip, drip, drip of the indoctrination, then they're going to possibly wake up to the truth of what's really going on. So Twitter, Facebook, Google control what you see and what trends. Digital Echo, Hollywood, we've seen that. Blue check marks on Twitter, Antifa, rage and emotion, followed by those indoctrinated. Echo controlled. Define indoctrinate, right? To often repeat an idea or belief to someone in order to persuade them to accept it. Next, grab rage and emotion, organized platforms by indoctrinated and project as majority. Zoom and enhance, narrow focus as mainstream. So basically, not only are we being indoctrinated by the mainstream media and big tech, right? But our friends and our family and people that are still in the indoctrination are being indoctrinated to go against us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're the loonies.
And yeah, including our children, by the way, which is the whole climate change narrative. It's the whole, don't tell your parents.
Those are, like we've said many times, they're indoctrination camps. They use the media and the school system to successfully indoctrinate these people.
Absolutely. And I go through all this. I go through, vaccination nation, education nation, incarceration nation. Okay.
Yeah.
Our population is being incarcerated. And the medication nation with the pharmacology and how they're enslaving humanity in our health, and also enslaving humanity with our wealth. Right.
Right.
So rage and emotion. Okay. So define, indoctrinate. We see that. System of control. This is their system of control. This is how they've gotten away with this for generations and generations, and how they convinced people in the 20th century to give up their control to their government, to give up their weapons to their government, because every 20th century genocide was preceded by gun registration, so they know who's got them, and gun confiscation. And then every genocide, Russia, China, Germany, Cambodia, they were all preceded by Armenia. They were all preceded by gun confiscation, right? So this is their system of control. And they present socialism as the well-strewn pathway to communism.
Right.
Right.
It's the slippery slope right into, and people want this. They teach the kids to want this.
Exactly. Many choose the path of least resistance, right? They're working too damn hard. They got 2 jobs. They got to pick up their kid from school, get them to soccer practice. They got to do this. They got to go to the store and shop and cook their meals. And so many choose the path of least resistance. So they just plunk down in front of the military controlled, CIA controlled propaganda machine, right? And get their news and think they're actually getting their news because, I can always switch the channel.
It's also a stimulation thing. They get that adrenaline fix. They get that stimulation fix. Every time they sit down in front of Fox and they sit down in front of CNN, they get that fix they need,
Yeah. So my audience is well aware of my feelings about Fox, right?
Yeah,
and how they're just the controlled opposition. They're completely controlled. And that's why they betrayed us on the election. They're betraying us on the vaccinations, they've betrayed us on COVID. Okay. And even though you have a few that are pumping out, like, we're going to challenge this, we're going to challenge that, it's all bullshit. And that's why we got to be really careful where we're getting our information from. And the thing I love about you is you gather a lot of information and you flat out say, I don't know, but
I just keep an open mind, man.
Yeah. Keep an open mind. Let me try to find out. And that's what happened to me 15 years ago. I thought I was a pretty smart dude, but when I finally said, I don't know shit, that's when I really started to learn and really started to pick up stuff, right? And started to dig. So for many in our lives, you cannot tell them the truth. You must show them. And we've all experienced that, trying to wake them up, right? You can't tell them the truth. You must show them, because they can't be told, they must be shown. Only at the precipice will people find the will, strength to change and break the system of control, be free. Okay. So,
and that's where we're at now.
That's where we're at. And that's why you're seeing, people in Australia coming out and revolting. That's why we're seeing people around the world saying, we're not doing this shit anymore. Okay. We don't trust you.
Or the Great Awakening. You could call it
the Great Awakening. Right. And then there are a few others, only at the precipice moment of destruction will people find the will to change. And it's got to affect everybody, right? It's got to affect everybody. We are at the precipice. Swamp is fighting back. Remain calm. We are here for a reason. Patriots are in control. And then there's another one. Will you stand for God and country, for freedom, for humanity? Where we go on, we go all. Now, everyone's waiting for something to happen, right? But the whole idea here is that we shouldn't be waiting for something to happen. We should be engaging with what's happening, right?
Like the parents who are confronting the CRT.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me take you to where Todd went last week. So Todd, my co-host, he basically said, hey, Garland's been in the news. We found out about this connection to his son-in-law. And so Todd thought, well, wait a minute. Let me news unlocks the map. That's what Q has told us. I could pull that up for you too, but no need, because you guys can all look at that. And by the way, just so for your audience knows, I always go to qalerts.app. Okay. qalerts.app. And I find that to be, a really nice source. We used to do qmaps.pub. They got taken down when they were trying to, when they were doing all that. So let me take you to where Todd went with the CRT. So basically you go into the search bar and you just type in CRT. Okay. It takes us to 4084 Q drop, which was May 3rd, 2020. All right. And it says digest, know your rights. Okay. And so there's a link here. And initially it took us to access denied, right, on that link, because they know it's Q. So they're going to deny that access.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
So
that's not like a dead giveaway or anything.
Exactly. Right. So we have to go through a different way. Right. So we went through justice.gov CRT deprivation of rights under color of law.
Okay.
Okay. Let me read this to you. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Section 242 of Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law include acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting to or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties. Persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges. And this is what's really important, right? This next part. Care providers in public health facilities and others who are acting as public officials. It is not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus toward the race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin of the victim. The offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to life term or the death penalty, depending upon the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
All right. So what are we seeing, right? We're seeing our rights taken away from us. Okay.
Yeah, judges. Even the local judge here, he went against the governor's wishes, which is no more mask mandates. And he went ahead and put forth a mask mandate here in El Paso, went against the Texas governor's wishes. This is, but that's kind of what it's falling under, right? Things of that nature.
Yeah. And so
that's going to be punishable.
Yes. Yes. And by the way, and is not just necessary here in the punishment of this, right? But in the defense of our own rights. Okay. I have a Snedehead who she is doing amazing work getting children back with their parents that CPS is unlawfully taken. And she uses the color of law with law enforcement officers. Okay. Punishable by life or death, life term or death. Right. But looking at that section on the care providers in public health facilities, let's look at the hospitals. Okay. Look at all the pharmacies that are pushing the jab, right? Most of my, almost all of my slaps on the wrist and my terminations have been because I'm putting forth medical misinformation.
Right.
So I just want to be very clear with your audience. that David Snedeker has been accused of putting forth a lot of medical misinformation. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but look at
no surprise there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I've been warning people about this eugenics model from day one of COVID, because I was awake before and I saw what was coming. And as soon as something breaks like this, I know it's a false flag. I know it's a Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution, right? And they already have the solution, and the solution is the vaccine, which is going to basically put all the graphene oxide in us, and they're going to be able to.
Have you seen what graphene oxide does with 5G?
Yeah.
It's scary. It looks like it comes alive. It starts moving and changing and growing. I mean, dude.
I'll tell you a quick story about that. I'm on Twitter on two different locations. Twitter on two different locations. Twitter on two different locations. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave's Twitter on two different locations. One's Twitter on two different locations. One's at Dave Snedeker. Twitter on two different locations. Twitter on two different locations. One's on two different locations. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. And the other one's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. And one's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. And the other was at the indoctrination. One's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. And the other one's at Dave Snedeker. Dave Snedeker. And the other one's at Dave Snedeker. 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 My account and said, my account and said, my account. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on a second. My account and said, COVID misinformation.
Yeah.
And
so
I
don't get in the way of
folks.
the depopulation agenda, Dave.
Exactly. Right. And I wrote back, I didn't say anything about COVID.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from them.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Ooh,
so they basically incriminated themselves.
Right.
In saying, you can't say things about COVID that are untrue. I didn't say anything about COVID.
Crystal Tini, a friend of mine, I don't know if you're familiar with her on Instagram. She was big on talking about how this is all 5G. This all has to do with 5G. She made her whole platform on that. Of course, she got bombed. I got bombed.
I got nuked off Instagram.
Yeah, I'm completely shadow banned on my account on Instagram. I don't even go on there anymore because they're like taking away people from my account. It's ridiculous.
You had a lot of people on Instagram.
I had 150,000 and growing, and then now I'm at 149, still dropping. I have a backup channel, Nino's Truth, but it's they completely shadow banned me for medical misinformation.
Yep.
All kinds of shit. So I don't even go on Instagram anymore, really.
Yeah. You're reaching a lot of people. You're reaching a lot of people, brother. So
but I tiptoe on YouTube. I tiptoe on YouTube. I'm walking the line. Everything is here on Nino's Corner because of this, because of what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're talking about the vaccine now, then all of these people, care providers in public health facilities, okay, well, or hospitals, public health facilities, that could be argued, right? If these hospitals are killing people, putting them on the ventilators, right? But here's the thing. The money that they're getting for saying this guy's got COVID, right? Came in with a car accident, has got COVID. He's in for COVID, right? They got $13,000.
And every death was like 36,000, right?
38.
Okay, I was off 2000.
Right? You're way off, man. You're way. So, and if they put them, but they had to put them on a ventilator to get that 38.
They all followed the same protocol, which was fucking neglect, ventilator neglect, and death.
The protocol is death, right?
Yeah.
And so that money comes from the Medicaid system that we pay into.
Right.
It comes from tax dollars through the U.S. government. I'm sorry, that sounds like a public health facility to me.
Right.
Because they're getting the money. So any of these people that are acting as official government officials or representatives of the government, including public schools, okay, right? Bring the color of law to them, okay? Show them that they are willfully depriving a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution of the laws of the United States. It doesn't matter what El Paso does, doesn't matter what Austin does, doesn't matter what LA County does, okay? We are having our rights violated under color of law, which is punishable by life in prison or death.
Dave, where are the lawyers? How are they not having a field day with this?
I think that lawyers are going to make more money over the next 5 years than they've ever made in the history of law combined.
When all the dust settles, you mean?
Yeah. What I tell my audience is that what we're seeing, and Q also talks about the show, right? Now, Trump, what's his whole role in this? Well, first of all, Trump probably saved a lot of lives by getting this vaccine through. Okay.
Operation Warp Speed. Yeah. He also ended the lockdowns, which they had planned to keep us in until 2024.
Exactly. Right. And that would have devastated us even more than the 14,000 that maybe have died from the jab.
Right.
In the United States.
The first monkey wrench was, upsetting Hillary. And I think this was the second. I mean, there was probably multiple, but the second big one was Operation Warp Speed, which was throwing a monkey wrench into the game plan of lockdown till 2024.
Yes. So, and so the other thing, what does he play in this in terms of and also we're seeing a lot of saline injections instead of the actual vaccine too. Right.
Really? I mean, I don't know. Where have you heard that? I mean,
let me see if I can bring that up for you. It's a graphic that
I've heard the same thing, but I haven't researched it or anything like that.
So, so at any rate, so the color of law, I think I have it right here. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can bring this up. One of my Snedeheads sent it to me. I tell you what, I get crazy. Like I'll never tell anybody I know that more than them in this whole world, in the sense that we're all trying to figure it out. And I have, my audience sending me stuff every day. Look at all these articles.
Yep.
Right. This is mainstream.
God, I could only hope my parents got that.
I know. Same, but my, it's they and so
the Johnson & Johnson one could have been saline, huh?
Well, it sounds like all of them could have been. Some, not all of them, but some people got saline shots instead of COVID vaccine at North Carolina Walgreens. Virginia residents get saline shot.
How do they know that though?
Well, they figured it out. They're obviously checking their stock. But how does it happen so many times? This is all over the world right now.
Yeah.
These articles, right? Okay. So we also,
that's good news, Dave.
Right? Yeah. This is great. This is one of my listeners, Jim Rice, sent this to me. And so, this is, let's hope that the ones we love, got this jab, this, and I'll send this to you. But it's let's hope they got the saline. And Todd and I also did a dive, and it was really odd, man. And I think I've told you this before. This was many months ago, where we both did a dive, and it was the interview with Miller, the Department head of the defense, right, the civilian, and he was doing an interview with Catherine Herridge, right? Catherine Herridge
Miller is the head of the DOD, right?
Yeah. Catherine Herridge was interviewing him, and the interview on her Twitter started, and she's, by the way, a white hat.
Okay.
Catherine Herridge. She's probably the only one in mainstream media, I think, that is doing it right and getting intel as well. She started the interview on her Twitter with a shot of the water on the table between them. And they were talking about the vaccines that were occurring at Fort Hood. Right. Todd watched the water on cue, right? Because no one, I made films. I directed, I wrote, I produced. You would never start something like that just on a shot of water on a table, right?
Like hinting, showing people.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Watch the water. And it had a lemon in it, and so we thought, so Todd went one direction through Q, and I went another direction through Gematria, through the Fort Hood stuff, like what they had on their shirts and stuff. And we both came around to the same place, which was some of the shots are not what we think they are.
I can only hope.
Yeah.
I can only hope. And my parents got it, and I just hope to God they got the saline.
And by the way, I differentiate all the time between fact and speculation. The fact is that Todd went one direction, I went another direction. We ended up in the same place with the information, and all that is facts. But whether or not that information actually means that many of the jabs are saline or a different component, or maybe, something that could help us, that's speculation. Right. So that's where we went on that. And so, it's really, as much as possible, finding out. And by the way, you also, you wanted to find out about where Trump is, and, when he's coming back and so forth. We're supposed to be watching the audits, right? Which we do.
But they're we're watching the audience, but they're discrediting them at every turn. Look what happened in Arizona.
Yep.
Look what happened. Oh no, Biden really won because they recounted the fake votes.
Exactly.
And then they spinned it on the media, which is the deep state media.
Yeah.
So that to me, that plan just shot him in the foot. I don't know.
Well, it's not over yet. And now the onus is on Brnovich, and the onus is on Fan for signing that document, by the way. Karen Fan signed that document that allowed them to not give all the information over. Okay. And that's huge. And so this
incriminating.
Dude, this is exposing people. Everything that's happened is doing two things. It's awakening another 1,000 people, let's call it. Okay. Yeah. Maybe 10,000. I don't know the numbers, right? But when something so absurd happens, and we're like, okay, like the border, right? How many people voted for Biden but they liked that the border was protected? You're right there, man. And it's like, are you kidding me? What a fiasco.
Yeah, it's a war down there right now.
So how many people woke up because of the border? How many people woke up because the Democrats are trying to fund Planned Parenthood and sell baby parts and eugenicize the Black population, as Margaret Sanger talked about, and Bill Gates' father funded her, and, to kill Black babies? That was the original intent of Planned Parenthood, that Margaret Sanger's, and people don't understand, Bill Gates' father did that with her. Right. And now Bill Gates has got his fingers in every pocket, in every medical. He's taking control over the Rockefeller model of the medical control worldwide. And now we're seeing the result of that. And so when you see these things unfolding in the way they are, people are waking up, and every single day, and as many people as we
How
would have.
far do we have to go before it's just, how far is this going to take us before it's too late? Oh, people wake up and we're flushed down the toilet now. We're done. We're Venezuela. How long is this going to take? It has to happen sooner than later. And I'm sure you share the same frustration.
Absolutely. But I also understand it has to happen from within.
Yeah.
Like the revolution has to happen in here. We're
Right.
both revolutionaries, right?
Yeah.
We want the system to be overturned. We want justice once and for all for the people who have, created, crimes against humanity. We want the people that have taken the children, the people that have done all these horrendous things. We want justice for the victims, right? And we are the victims as well. But what really needs to happen is, imagine, here's what I keep doing, and I think this is helpful, and my audience seems to think so as well. Go back 6 months ago. Had things just, everything blew up then, what would we have lost in the meantime, in the sense of, look how many people have been exposed in the past 6 months. Look how many institutions, right? The whole system has to crumble. And we have to take a sledgehammer, each one of us.
Right.
To it. Okay. It's not about, a couple people sipping coffee across the street, waiting for the bulldozer to come. No, we pick up a damn hammer and we all
go to work.
We start chipping away, and the system will crumble like that. And I've used this analogy.
People are really saying like, oh, when's Trump going to save us? When are they going to save us? Yeah, it sucks for the people that are awake, like myself, you, a lot of my audience, your audience.
Yeah,
we're just watching this in agony, like, oh my gosh, waiting for the slow people to catch up. But it's not going to happen in the way they think, where Trump's just going to step back in. Voila, I'm back, folks. It's got to come from us first, and then he gets reinstated properly. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. And if we're seeing, here's what I think is happening is we're seeing such a slow, roll with the audits, right? Look how long this is taking legally. And along the way, we're still seeing
it's too slow
getting in the way.
That's where I think maybe they're buying time, Dave, because they know if they can just drag this process out long enough, it'll be too late.
Well, too late in what way?
Country will be done. Biden flushes us down the toilet. Then there's chaos or civil unrest. He brings in the UN. Who knows?
Well, I've always thought that it would get harder before it got easier, right?
And I agree.
Yeah. So any major change. You've experienced this. I've experienced this in basketball. You experienced it with boxing. How many guys do you know that really wanted to win and really wanted to do great things, but didn't have the work ethic?
90%.
Didn't show up every morning, didn't show up,
or had all the talent in the world and didn't work hard. And the guys that didn't have the talent worked harder.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we've seen that. And that's the way I look now. And most of the people that are like frustrated, like, this should happen. It's got to happen. It's got to, that are frustrated. It's like, get in line, because I was saying this shit 15 years ago.
Right.
Right. There were people there's beyond me that were saying it 20, 30 years ago. Okay. And if you all had been awake then, we wouldn't be dealing with the shit we're dealing with right now.
You're right. And, there's also people, though, that are so awake, it's called taking the black pill. I take the red pill, but you could go further and take the black pill, and just most of them are just doomsday. Nothing. Trump's in on it. Trump's part of the chess game. It's over. Humanity's done. And there's a fine line to walk between the red pill and the black pill. It's easy to go black, dude. And just say, you know what, this is all bullshit. This is
we talk about the black pill.
A lot of people say Q operation is a psyop.
We talk about that. Let me speak to that. Right.
Okay.
So there's one thing I know for certain about Q, and this is factual. This isn't speculation. Q has predicted the future.
But that's such a huge conspiracy. How do they predict the future?
So here's the thing. And I say that, let me just give you a couple examples of, Q was talking about Antifa in 2017 and the role they would play and the BLM and they knew Trump's Twitter was going to be taken down years before it happened. Okay. Things like that. There are one of the things Q says is how many coincidences before it's mathematically impossible.
Right.
So the things that Q has done and put in front of us is mathematically impossible for it to be anything other than they know what's going on. Now, there are two ways to know what's going on. Okay. One is they can see into the future, whether it be Project Looking Glass, whether it be Project Yellow Cube, both government, organization, funded organizations, right? Maybe it has to do with John Trump, Donald Trump's, uncle, who knew Tesla. They brought him in, the FBI Department of Foreign Property brought John Trump in, and he did rebuild the towers. By the way, most people don't know this. He rebuilt Tesla's 2 towers. John Trump did. And Tesla, you've seen that picture of Tesla in between the electric things, and he's sitting down.
Yeah.
Tesla said when he was sitting there, he could see the past, present, and future. Right? Now, this is a guy that didn't go around bragging. He didn't need to brag, right? He's the guy that you're fighting against who says nothing because he doesn't have to.
Right.
Yeah, he's gonna take care of it in the ring, right?
Right.
And so that was Tesla, right? He didn't need to brag. He was the smartest guy on the planet, and he knew it. He used to make fun of Einstein at parties.
Yeah, I've heard that.
All right.
I've heard that he was way above Einstein.
Right. So maybe John Trump built these towers and saw the past, present, and future, and it's all tied in with Q. And now Trump is a part of this whole thing, and Q is going to break this wide open, and Q has seen the future. And that's why Q talks about the precipice and says, only till we're at the precipice will we engage in this process, right? Only when will we fight. Okay. That's what human beings need to do. They need to be, pushed so far that they're like, no, I stop here. Here's where I draw the line. The line is
here. Yeah.
The line is here.
And that's happening now, especially with the parents.
Many people have different lines, right?
Taking their kids out of school and homeschooling. It's happening now. Yeah.
How phenomenal is that? Yeah. I mean, look at
but it's hard because they have jobs. Some are working 2 jobs. How are they going to homeschool a kid?
Yeah.
And those are probably the parents that are pissed off going to these schools.
Yeah.
Causing scenes and, yeah. But there's one thing that Q says that I pay attention to, and that's these people are not going to be able to walk the streets. It's not just talking about politicians, which we know they're not going to be able to, but all these people, the local representatives, the school board, doctors that push the jab.
I broke down this girl this lady on CNN, how beautiful she is, and yet she's pushing this jab that's killing people, right? And I'm like, how many women have you known? You look at them and you're like, holy cow, she's beautiful. And then she opens her mouth.
Yeah.
And you're like,
98% of them.
Get me out of here. A woman of substance is what we're looking for, but they're putting up all these people without substance before us to lend us this narrative. And I took out, narrative. And I took out narrative, and I took out, narrative, and I took out narrative, and I took out narrative, and I took out, I took out, I part of the indoctrination. I took out, I took out, I took out I took out, I part of the indoctrination is I show people in the indoctrination. I took out what's his name? Conan O'Brien and Bill Burr. I demolished the other night. Okay.
I love Bill Burr.
Okay. So I did too, until he decided he was going to do work for the cabal.
What did he do?
He's talking about the vaccine. He's using humor to
he's pushing the vaccine. That guy's a really awake individual, Dave. Like that guy to me. So if he's doing this, he's been compromised.
The best controlled opposition will tell you 98 things that are true and 2 that are not.
Right.
And those 2 that are not are the ones that are most important.
Holy cow. So Bill Burr is endorsing and pushing the vaccine, huh?
In a very deceptive way.
Wow.
And the guys,
is he saying he got it? Is he saying he got it?
He got it. He got it. And he's like, well, I don't buy this whole, this whole they're going to kill you thing with the vax. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. They're getting rid of all the Fonzies who don't pay attention, and they're, getting all the Richies who will follow along, and I totally demolished that whole narrative. I'll send you my show on that. I'll send you my show on that.
Yeah, I didn't,
because I loved it, dude. I love the dude.
I love the guy too. That's why I'm just like taken back, because to me, that guy has always been awake. He knows the agenda. He's the biggest, what you would like to call quote unquote conspiracy theorist. And for him to be,
and the whole thing,
guys like this. Wow.
The whole thing, Dave, was scripted. The whole thing was scripted. The thing that Conan jumped to, and all these
he was
dudes,
on the Conan show.
Yeah. And all these dudes, by the way, the Colberts, the guys that are using humor to brainwash the masses are the worst.
Yeah.
They are taking an ancient craft of eliciting humor, eliciting laughter from people through humor, and they are totally bastardizing it to manipulate the masses. Those are the lowest on my totem pole. They're the absolute lowest.
I can't believe Bill Burr, man.
And I call him out. And it's so subtle, man. It's so subtle. I'll break it down for you. You might want to share just that clip with your peeps, but because it's not going to be, But at any rate, so I wanted to get back to the seeing the future.
I would have never seen that coming with Bill Burr.
Yep. I'll show you, and I want you to tell me what you think after you see it.
I can't believe it. I mean, I can believe anything now, because.
And I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. You know his whole bit about guns?
Yeah.
Okay. What's his stance on guns?
He's for it.
Yeah. What kind?
Shotguns, anything home improvement. I've heard him talk about
22.
Oh, the 22. Okay.
22.
Because I just heard him say,
he doesn't want to be doing a bunch of drywall.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what I was like. Yeah.
All right. So he disregarded the most effective home protection, probably shotgun, one of them. Right. And then he said, and I don't want a big gun that's like, bang and ring, ring, ring in my ear. Right. Just give me a little 22. Give me a little 22. It's 22, dude.
Yeah.
We can't fight a war with 22s.
I mean, you don't think you're looking into it a little too deep on that one?
Dude, I've been doing this a long time, and
I don't doubt anything, but
yeah. And I can sweat. Well, you tell me what you think about after you say, because I still gave him the benefit of the doubt on that. Like I still gave him the benefit of the doubt, and then I saw this interview.
The interview's got me. You got to send that to me after this.
Okay.
He's on with Conan, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, which by the way, I used to love him on Conan together. And Conan, dude, I was watching Conan from day one and telling everybody this dude's funnier than Dave Letterman when Dave Letterman started out. And people are like, you're nuts. Letterman's unbelievable. I'm like, I'm telling you, dude, this guy is legit. And I've met him once. But he's turned, and he had to make that decision. They all had to make this decision revolving around Trump. They all had to be on board with throwing him under the bus without any evidence, like any real solid, criteria, just rhetoric.
Yeah.
Right. And they had to throw him under the bus, and they had to make that decision. So all these late night comedians, but I want to get back to the future prediction. Right. So all that I just mentioned about being able to see into the future is absolute, could be science fiction or fiction, right? Science fiction, or it could be science nonfiction, but we don't know. The second way you can predict the future is if you're creating the future. Okay.
Right.
So if Q is a psychological operation meant to make us, sit back and eat popcorn and wait for, the savior to come, right? Whether it be Jesus or whether it be Trump, right? And wait for the savior to come. That to me is the greatest psychological operation. If you can get the masses to just wait for something else.
All right.
Right. And then you bring the something else whenever you're ready, or you never bring it. Right. So the second way is they create the future. So they could talk about Antifa because they knew they were going to put Antifa in. Right. They could talk about these things because they knew what they were going to do.
They knew the playbook.
They knew the playbook. Right.
Right. Now, that's maybe how they were able to predict the future events, is because they knew the playbook that they were going to follow, and they knew the counter moves that they would make. Does that make sense?
Yep. And so I share with my audience the following. This could go one of two ways. Okay. Trump comes back. And if that happens, which I think it will, okay, that's going to happen in the timeline of legality, which moves so slowly. And we're seeing this. Okay. And in the meantime, we've got to keep our family safe, keep ourselves safe, and really look inward. Right. Because, and understand that not only are we victims in this whole thing, but we have financed this whole thing. We financed our own demise. And until we realize that, I think the real revolution will never happen, because the real revolution, I believe, has to happen within. And I think that it has to be the realization of, wow, well, I've been paying for cable for 40 years, and all that money is going to CNN and all the, all this and all the NFL, and,
we're financing our own demise.
Absolutely. Right. And part of it is they're laughing all the way. I mean, just the fact that we're not calling out the Federal Reserve for being a private bank and enslaving us in debt since 1913 is mind-boggling to me.
Right.
And that's why we can't trust any of these people. We can't trust any of the mainstream anybody, because none of them are standing up and saying, you know what? Income tax is completely illegal, and 100% of it goes to financing the debt of a bunch of really nasty human beings who are printing money for our own government and charging us interest on that money, and in the process using our mint and our treasury, which we finance, and the IRS, which they set up to collect money for them. And we pay for both of those while these guys get rich. And nobody in the mainstream media is calling a dead halt, a dead stop to that.
Yeah.
So we can't trust any of them, and yet we've been financing them.
Right.
So it really,
I think it's just such a monstrous problem. People don't even know where to begin. They don't even know where to begin, how to get organized. First is by exposing them and educating people, like we're doing on this show.
Yeah, exactly. So where are we putting our money, right? Are you going out to dinner a lot? Well, guess what? Every time you go out to dinner, you're funding Monsanto, Bayer, because most of those meals are not organic. And so they're all, glyphosate laden, GMO, non-food, right? And so where's that money going, right? How easy would it be to go to an organic restaurant and say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you a couple $1,000s a month, because I like to go out twice a night or twice a week, And I like to take my parents, whatever. And if, dude, I'm going to, and tell your friends about them and support that. Right. Organic food, organic, and if we start doing that, then we got our food taken care of.
Everything's
Right?
grassroots.
Yeah. It's grassroots. And that's the thing. We're waiting for somebody else. That doesn't work.
That's it, especially now, this spoiled generation. And
Yep.
it's really the sedentary American lifestyle, just to wait for it to do something for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's been in part cultural Marxism, a conditioning of controlling the public, conditioning through decades and decades of this shit to become complacent and wait for someone else to do something for you. Take away the American work ethic.
You said something earlier that Q has seen the playbook. Okay. So here's the thing. Q has either seen the playbook or written the playbook. Right? Now, you being a boxer, you go to your corner, the opposition isn't listening to what you're doing. Okay. Me as a basketball player, coach calls a timeout. We get in a huddle. Only the people necessary for the plays are included in that huddle, included in your corner. Okay. Even though you've got family in the audience that they love you, they support you, they're not going to be in on that conversation. Even though I got, I'm dating the cheerleader or whatever, or, the guy keeping our scores, he supports us. He's not in the huddle. Only the people necessary for the completion of the play, completion of winning the game, the fight, are included. So
Agreed.
we have been included. We have been included in this. If Q is a psyop, they gave us too much.
Yeah, because now people are more researched than ever, and they know what's going on.
They're calling bullshit on almost everything. Okay. Almost every aspect of the indoctrination, they're calling bullshit on. And so if Q's a psyop, they gave us way too much information. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I'm doing tomorrow.
And they're very threatened by Q, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. All you have to do is look at, YouTube, Wikipedia, ABC, NBC, CBS, and see what they say about Q, right? One of the main reasons I voted for Trump was I looked at everybody that was against him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, he's my guy.
Exactly.
If this asshole's against him, he's my guy. If George W. Bush is against him,
he's my guy.
Yeah. Right. That tells me more about Trump than anything Trump could say to me or anything that I could read about Trump.
The whole swamp.
Yep.
Both sides of the aisle, the Republicans and the Democrats. You knew right then and there that he was our guy.
And both sides of the pond too. Right. Like 100%. People around the world were like, nah, he's not, he's not legit.
Dave, this has been great, man. I want to have you on again.
I'd love to, brother. Anytime.
This has been an amazing. I'm going to call this the Precipice.
The Precipice. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
That's the title I'm giving it.
And people said, I'll enjoy the show and the popcorn and all that. Q never said just sit back.
Right.
Q said only at the precipice will we fight, will we engage, will we participate. Look at the participation that is going through the roof, so much so that the FBI and the DOJ have to say, oh, we're going to come after these parents at the school board meetings.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Wait till it turns on these politicians to the point that,
dude. Hey, color of law, brother. It's the death penalty. Life in prison or the death penalty. Drop the color of law. It's called the deprivation of rights under color of law. Everybody should know it. All you have to do is go to the DOJ.gov, deprivation of rights under color of law, print it out, carry it with you, and take it to anybody that's trying to make you do something against your constitutional rights.
I love
period.
it. Dave, where can people find you again?
Theindoctrination.com is is the website, theindoctrination.com. And we're on, I'm on YouTube on David Snedeker, but I won't be there long.
You're on your fifth channel, right?
What you're doing, dude. Yeah, it's my fifth channel. What you're doing, dude, is great because you're doing little stuff, and then you're sending people to your paywall. I don't have a paywall, but and I'm on Twitch under the Indoctrination, one word. We're on D Live. We're on Facebook. I had to even go in under a different name. I'm Paul Michaels on Facebook. Paul Michaels.
I don't even go on Facebook anymore. I don't care. I've been
I
had Liz Crokin on talking about pedophilia, and the next day I was gone.
Of course.
And your Telegram is the Indoctrination as well, right?
Yes, the Indoctrination. Yeah.
Dave, thank you for joining me. This will be up on ninoscorner.tv today. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. Great.
God bless you, brother.
As always. Keep up the fight, brother. See you.
You too.
All right, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that. I got to watch your comments there scrolling by as I was doing some other things. And just happy to share that with you. Really appreciate Dave and his excellent interview. Thank you all for the feedback here. Very good to have these conversations, and I think very, very important to just show respect for each other even when we don't agree. I think that thank you all. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. And I'll say that, by the way, somebody had said he interrupted when I said I'm going to do something tomorrow. And the thing that I said I was gonna do, and I still haven't done it yet, is I wanted to call John Durham's office, and I want to find the contact for John Durham's office and call and find out, just start to get that going so people are making them aware how much we know about what's going on and what we're waiting for. Like, we're waiting for these indictments, right? So thank you, Lorna. Thank you, guys. Good stuff. Thank you, Meredith. Appreciate that. This is, and you're welcome all. And just so you know, it was about an hour long. So depending on where you came into it, we got about 1,000 people in Sned Shed right now. And if you want to watch the beginning, it was only an hour long. So enjoy. And then I also, right before that, whether you're on, no matter what you're on, Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, just know that before this live broadcast with the pre-recorded interview with Dave, it was about a 12-minute thing with my talk in front of 100 people at the 7K in Orange County on October 2nd, which I think you'd really enjoy as well. It's very short. It's 10 minutes long. And I think you'd really enjoy that, because I do talk about 7K a little bit, but I think you'd appreciate how I approached a room full of people that thought that they were just coming to learn about gold and silver, because I didn't hold anything back. And started that with "We Are All Slaves." So, and it was well received. A lot of people came up. So please check that out. Those are the two offerings from tonight. Thanks to Todd and Cindy for giving me the heads up on the skip, because I just went in to get a snack. But tonight is my night with my little girl, and so my night off. So I'm going to go make that happen. And I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow night, and I look forward to that. Be well, and be strong, and know that the more that we get involved, the more that we move the needle to the direction and in the direction that we need it to go. We have to participate. We have to engage. We have to be a part of the solution and not wait by the side of the road to be saved. I love you all. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. Be well.